Alright, so I'd like to make a very quick video about how to use SketchUp, and this is going to be kind of like a total crash course. So SketchUp is useful for making very simple robots and just trying new things out. It's a really easy way to move stuff around, copy it, duplicate, quickly change things. It's what I used to learn CAD in the very beginning. So, there's going to be another video later about Onshape, which is better and more detailed parts you can make with it, assemblies. But when it comes to just making things very quickly, SketchUp is actually way better. Okay, so SketchUp is for free, and it's totally online now. It's in the cloud, so you don't have to download anything. You're going to want to use a mouse. Don't use your laptop touchpad. It's going to be super slow, and you need the mouse wheel a lot. So get a mouse. Fire up Google. Just type in SketchUp free modeling software. You want to click on this link that says plans and pricing. Okay, so this will take you to the free version. Go ahead and click on that. Go to Start Modeling. And now you can log in with your Gmail account. Okay, go ahead and click on Start Modeling. And here's our workspace. These lines here, these are X, Y, and Z axes. They pretty much orient you in space. So you know which way is up, left, right, down. A couple of movements here. So scrolling with your mouse wheel to zoom in and out. Hold down your mouse wheel to orbit around. So you hold down the mouse wheel button, and this will allow you to pretty much rotate your camera position, drag it around. And if you want to translate the camera, just move left or right or up or down. You have to hold down the shift key, and then you can use the mouse wheel button, and that will drag you left, right, up, down, kind of translate it. Okay. So let's start by changing some settings when it comes to measurements. Let's go over here to the information icon. This is the eye in the little circle, and we're going to click on up in the format. We're going to change this to 0.0 inches, just like that. And now we're going to go to precision. We're going to change this to the one with 3 decimal places. And when it says snap interval, we're going to change this to 0.125. That's 1/8 of an inch. Nice. Just click this arrow over here to close the panel. Nice. So now we can say goodbye to SketchUp Dude. We don't need him. So just click on him to highlight, and then hit backspace or delete on your keyboard. So over here on the left side of the screen is our toolbar. If you ever need a tool, you can come over here and search for it or find the icon, but I'm going to teach you how to use shortcuts on your keyboard because it's way faster that way. So let's start by making a basic shape like a wheel. So before you make a 3D object, you have to make a 2D drawing. So hit the C on your keyboard, and you'll see a pen and a circle appear with where your pointer was. If you ever want to go back to the select tool, which is what we use to select the SketchUp Dude, just hit the spacebar. So for now, we're going to keep it on C for circle. So this circle tool, it's going to draw a circle for us, and all we have to do is click where we want to draw the center of the circle. So let's click in the middle of all the axes here at the origin. It'll kind of snap onto it. And once you click, just one left click, all you have to do is drag, and there's an outline, and this shows us how big our circle is going to be. So let's say that we messed up and the circle is too big. So if you click again, it'll make the circle. But let's say that we messed up here. This is way too large. So what we want to do is we want to hit spacebar, so go back to selection. And now if we want to delete a drawing, all we have to do is select the entire thing. So to do that, we just start by dragging a box around the entire shape. So start in the top left, drag down to the right on the bottom right. Let's make a square. I'm dragging here. And release. And now the entire drawing is blue. That means we selected it. If we want to deselect it, just click anywhere that is not the drawing. But for now, let's select it. And now let's hit backspace or delete, and bam, circle is gone. So now let's draw a new circle. So we hit C again, and we got our circle tool. Click in the middle where we want this circle to start, and and move the mouse away. And if you look at the bottom right hand corner over here, this will actually show you exactly what the radius of the circle is. So the radius, that's important. It's not the diameter, and it will remind you. It will say radius. Now remember, when we typed in 0.125 inches in our settings, basically this is the smallest amount that you can draw when you drag it open. So this will always be a multiple. You can see it's going of multiples of 0.125 inches. So it will always snap to that multiple. But let's say that we want a circle that's only 2.9 inches in radius. So 2.9 is not a multiple of 0.125. What you can do is you can delete your circle like before. So we're going to go ahead and delete that. And now we're going to click once again to draw the circle. And we're going to drag in the direction we want to go. But now you can actually type on your keyboard. You can just type 2.9. You see the numbers appearing there and hit enter. And now this circle is 2.9 inches in radius. So we know it's 2.9 inches because we just put it in there, but if you're just looking at the circle, you really wouldn't know. So how do we know it's 2.9 inches? Well, there's the dimension tool. However, the dimension tool does not have a shortcut assigned to it by default, so let's assign a shortcut to the dimension tool because we're going to use it a lot. So let's click over here on Search SketchUp. So this is the Search SketchUp button, and we're just going to type dimensions. There it is. And I already have it in this here, but there will be like a blank square, and you just click inside here to set the shortcut. You hit D, and just like that, you have dimensions set to D. Now, whenever we hit D, we can see the dimension tool get highlighted in the toolbar. So here I'm just hitting the spacebar and D to go between them. They look really similar, so the only way you can really tell is by looking at these little faint highlights. So I'm just hitting spacebar and D back and forth. So now it's selected on D for dimension. So hit D, and now click on the outside of the circle. Now it's going to show you the diameter of the circle. See here it says 5.8. Now if we want to leave that there for reference, we can, or we can delete it. So if we hold Control Z, we can undo it real quick, or you can select the dimension itself once you make it. So you have to go back to the select tool, hit the spacebar, and now you click it, and it will turn blue when you select it, and now you can hit delete. I'm going to leave it like this for right now. So here's the thing about SketchUp that's kind of bad. It's hard to change the size of things after you draw them. If we changed our mind about the size, we don't want to delete it. We have to click on the outside of the circle, so right on the edge here, and we have to right click and hit Entity Info. Now we go up to Entity Info, we see the radius is 2.9 inches. So let's change this. I want a 3-inch diameter circle, so 1.5 inch radius. So let's just type 1.5 and hit enter. Okay, so now this circle has a diameter of 3 inches. So kind of annoying, but that's just SketchUp. So now we have our 3-inch circle. Let's make it into a wheel that's 1/2 inch wide. So to do that, we're going to use the push and pull tool. So we can use push and pull to make 2D shapes into 3D shapes. The shortcut for that tool is P, so let's hit P. And now we're going to click inside the circle. So this is called the face of the circle, not the edge, the face. Now move your mouse in the direction after you click that you want to pull it. So make it go up, you pull up, make it go down, you kind of push down through the screen. So because I know the distance that I want, I'm going to type in 0.5 before I click again, and then just hit enter. Nice. So now let's say instead of adding a shape, you want to actually take away or subtract from it. So wheels have like holes in the middle for the shafts. So let's put that in there. So basically we're going to have to draw another circle on top of this face. To do that, we're going to hit C. And now we need to snap to the point in the middle of this circle. To do that, we can just hover our mouse over the circle that we want the center of briefly. So hover over the edge of this circle, and you'll see this little dot kind of appear or snap into the middle. This is the center point. See, it says center. If you don't put your mouse around the edge first, it may not snap to the center. It'll just kind of be on the face like this. So you want to kind of hover around the edge until this little center appears, and then just go straight to that center. And now you click. And now that we've moved our mouse to the center point, we're going to click and we're going to draw another circle. So this was going to have a radius of 0.25 inches, so diameter of 0.5. So 0.25, you can type inches, you don't have to type inches. Just hit enter here. Nice. So now we have our 0.5 diameter circle on top of our cylinder 3D shape. Now let's hit the P key again to push/pull. And click on the face of the new circle. See, it gets highlighted here. Now you can see that if we go up in this direction, it makes a new shape. So this is kind of like adding. But if we go down, it actually starts to remove or delete the shape. And then if we pull it way, way down, it will delete and then start to create a new shape on the other side. So we don't want that. So what we want to do is just tell it exactly where to end. So two ways to do this. We can either remember that this wheel is 0.5 inches thick and type 0.5 and hit enter, and that will work. Or we can click on the other side of the wheel where it's supposed to end. So to do that, we kind of have to see where the other side of the wheel is. So in order to do that, I just clicked to extrude it down, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to push in on the mouse wheel button to orbit. So I'm just going to orbit to the other side of the wheel, and I'm going to put the mouse right over the face here, and you see how it's kind of snapping straight to this surface. Okay, so now put the mouse anywhere on that side of the wheel. You'll see the circle just kind of perfectly start to clip through in the middle there, and click on that surface. And bam, there's now a hole in the wheel. So making anything in Sketchup is basically just this process, but over and over again. Draw a shape, make it 3D, and then draw more 2D shapes and push or pull them. Now this wheel, it's laying on the floor, it's flat. But we want it kind of to be standing face up. So as this shape is right now, you can't move the whole wheel. If you tried to rotate the wheel at this point, it's going to think you want to rotate the circles that make up the wheel or the wall of the wheel. It's going to have a really hard time changing to the entire shape. So what we want to do is turn this shape, this 3D shape, actually into a group. So a group is basically a bunch of sketches that we can move around all as one unit. So let's go ahead and make this into a group by using our select tool. Just hitting spacebar there, selecting the whole thing, and now we're going to right click. And we're going to hit make group. And now you'll see there's a nice selection box around the whole thing. If we hit the M key, that's going to let us move it around, M for move. So let's hit M. Now we can hover around the wheel. If we hover over these red pluses, you'll see that a little protractor appear. So the protractor means you can rotate it by some angle. So if you click once, we can now rotate the wheel. And it can snap to like the common angles, like 90 degrees. So let's just tilt this. You can also type an angle if you want, right there. So we just spun that until we have the number of degrees that we want, and the wheel is now rotated. So if we want to translate the wheel, like move it up and down, left or right in space, we can still use the move tool, but we don't click on the same control points. We just click anywhere that the protractor doesn't show up. And now you can move it in space in direction, whatever direction you want. So just click that once, and then it will follow your mouse around. You can click again somewhere else, and it will stay there. You can even click on a vertex or a point on the wheel, such as in the very middle. So if we hover over the circle here, remember it'll kind of snap to the middle. Right here, sometimes you have to kind of rotate around. So right now I'm kind of going around the edge, and then it kind of thinks, it knows that I kind of want the center. So here's center in group, and let's click on that. And now if I want this right on the origin, I just have to hover over the origin here and click there again. And now it's pretty much very much centered from that point that I selected. So let's move the wheel away somewhere. So I'm just going to click on it and move it down this direction. And let's start by drawing another object. So let's draw this time a gearbox. Gearbox pretty much attaches to the wheels, and I can get you guys a picture. You guys might recognize these. The nice thing about SketchUp is that you don't have to really worry about every little detail in order to just prototype stuff and see how it all fits together. So you can just get the gist of a shape and it will work just great. So I'm going to do that pretty fast here and just try to follow along with me. So instead of making a circle, I'm going to go ahead and start with a rectangle here. I'm hitting R, and that gives me the Draw Rectangle tool. I'm going to click, I'm going to move the mouse, and I know this gearbox is going to be 1.5 by 1.5 inches, so I'm going to actually type 1.5, comma 1.5. You can do that with any rectangle, and it will set the two lengths of the rectangle. And just hit enter. I guess it's a square in this case. And so we want this to be 0.375 inches thick. That's 3/8. So I'm going to hit P to push or pull this square, and I'm going to make it 0.375. Just type it in real quick and hit enter. Okay, so the gearbox is roughly the shape of like a square, like this kind of square part with a circle part in the middle and then another square part at the end. So what I'm going to do here is draw the circle part. And I'm not going to draw it right on top, and I'm going to do that on purpose, and I'll show you why in a little bit. So I'm going to hit C here to make a circle, and I'm going to make this 0.7 inches in radius, which is going to make a 1.4 inch diameter, which is just under the 1.5 of the square over here. Going to hit P to push or pull that, and I'm going to make it 1 inch long. Now I'm going to make both of these shapes into groups so that we can move them on top of each other. So select each shape, and we're going to right click and hit make group. Same thing over here. Now I want to move the center of this cylinder in the middle of this square face here. So I'm going to orbit to the bottom of the cylinder here, and I'm going to just hover over the edge of the circle with the move tool. So hit M and hover over the edge of this circle, and you'll see the midpoint, or the center rather, just kind of appear, and we'll click on that. Now I'm going to orbit back up so I can see the top. To do that, I'm going to have to hover over each line of the square. That's going to tell the sketch that I want to be aligned with the midpoints of the line. So if I hover over this line right at the midpoint, it'll say midpoint in group. I'm just hovering here, I'm not clicking anything. And then I'm going to go to the other one on the opposite side, midpoint, and I'm kind of going to come to the middle from that edge. And then what it'll do is it'll remember that I was lined up with the midpoint over here, and it'll kind of think, oh, they want kind of where the intersection of those are. Now at this point is where I actually click. So any line you can hover over where approximately the middle is, and it will just snap to the midpoint. Once it snaps, go to the other midpoint, hover, no clicking, move the mouse to the middle of the square. If you're following a nice straight line, you'll get to a point where it's snapping to both midpoints. So now I want another box shape on top of this, and instead of drawing a whole new box shape, I can actually just duplicate the entire box group down here. So we hit spacebar, and we're going to select the box here, and we're just going to do Control C for copy, Control V for paste, and we have a new box. Same thing as before, we're going to hit M for the move tool. We're going to hover over the midpoints on the bottom. So I'm hovering over this midpoint, hovering over this one, coming to the middle. I guess I forgot about that one. Gotta go back. Sometimes it helps if you're actually more lined up, looking straight at it. Come on. Alright, it can be a little difficult sometimes. Alright, 2 midpoints, come on. There we go. And now we can hover over the circle of the cylinder over here, center and group, and click there, and now it's moved to the top. Now what if we wanted to move all three of these together, because these are right now independent groups. Well, we can just do even more grouping. Basically, we select all three of these together, drag a box, right click it, hit make group, And now we can move this entire thing around. Just like that. So if we wanted to mess with what's inside the group, all we got to do is click on it and actually just double click. And now you'll see these transparent lines. That kind of indicates you're working inside the group. Now we can mess with this just like it was independent groups. And if we want to return to that regular group picture outside of these little transparent dotted lines, we just click outside of them. Nice. So gearboxes have shafts. That's this part that connects to the wheel. So let's go ahead and draw those. We're going to draw the shaft. So it's a cylinder. We're going to draw a circle. We press C. I want it to be half an inch in diameter, so 0.25 radius. Hit enter. Push-pull tool. I want it to be 1 inch long. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to go back to select by hitting spacebar. I'm going to select it all, hit make group, and there's the shaft. We already grouped all of these things together. How do we get this new group into this old group over here? And the answer is just even more grouping. So this is where Sketchup starts to get kind of weird. So select everything, like both of these groups, and we can just hit make new group. And now these are in the same group. And other modeling software is way better when it comes to this kind of stuff, I promise. This is just a SketchUp thing, but it's worth it for what we can do with moving everything around, I promise. So now we can move the cylinder into place where it should be by selecting into the group by double clicking. And we can select the cylinder, and we should go to the bottom of the cylinder, hit M for the move tool. We're going to go around the middle, hit the center in the group, orbit up to the top here. We're going to try to select the midpoint by just hovering. We're going to go to other midpoint, just hovering, hope that it remembers, and we're going to click once we get to that intersection. So now we have a gearbox. We can just click outside of this, and we can move this around as we want. Let's say that we want 2 of these gearboxes because we're going to need at least 2 to drive around, left and right side. So I can click the group, and I can hit Control C, and then I can hit Control V, and bam, I've got another copy. So now we have 2 gearboxes. And but let's say I want to change this gearbox now, and I want to make the shaft length 1.5 inches and not 1 inch. So I have to click on the group again. Sorry, I'm still on the move tool here. I'm going to go back to spacebar. Click on the group again to select it. Double click to go inside. Click on the group that is the actual cylinder. Double click on that. So now we're going into sort of a group within a group. You can see everything else becomes kind of transparent when you're just working on that, so you know what you can change and what you can't. And we can actually push and pull this surface here just like this by hitting P for the push-pull. Click on the top, pull it up a bit, and I'm just going to type in 0.5. So that's an extra 0.5 inches. It will go it's not like an absolute measure, it's from where you started the push-pull. And now we have a shaft that's 1.5 inches and not 1. But if we hit select here and we click out of each group, you'll see that only one of the gearboxes changed. So the other gearbox is the same as it was before. It's still 1 inch long, not 1.5 inches long. So that's no good. We wanted all of them to change. Well, to do that, we have to make actually one more change. So instead of making our gearbox just a group, we need to upgrade it to what's called a component. So basically, any copy of a component will change no matter where it is or how many instances of it there are in the file. So it's kind of like a global variable where you change it in one place and it will change it everywhere else. Anything that's in a group is unique. So they will not all change when you change just one of them. So let's delete the new gearbox here. The 1.5 inch one. We'll select that and delete it. And now we have this group, but we want to make it into a component. So we're going to right click, we're going to hit make component, and now we can name this. Let's just call it gearbox 1.5 for, it's going to have a 1.5 inch shaft. 1.5 shaft. You don't have to name it, it just keeps things straight, I guess. Now we're going to hit OK, and that's created a component for us. And see over here it says 1 in model. So every time we make a copy, it will keep track of how many we have. So now what we can do is we can copy this component, Control C, paste it, Control V. So now we have 2 of them. And we're going to do the same thing we did before. We're going to click into the component, just like it was a group. Click into the group inside of that for the shaft. We're going to hit the push-pull button. We're going to put this up 0.5 inches. And you'll see, like magic, both of the gearboxes have changed. So this is really powerful because you don't have to change every single thing every time you wanted to change a component. So really, really cool stuff there. And it also allows you, so if this for some reason was like on the other side of the file, like all the way over here, and this was for some reason like covered in other stuff, it was covered in armor, it was covered in a wheel, it was covered in a whole bunch of other stuff, you can go over to this other copy all the way over here, edit it, do whatever you wanted, and it would just change over here. So you wouldn't have to mess with like removing things and trying to make everything kind of line up and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty useful. So very useful stuff. These are the basic tools you need to make stuff in SketchUp. You can move stuff around now. You can mess with it however you like. Good little exercise here is putting the wheel on the gearbox shaft and then combining them into one component if you want. And I'm probably going to make another video about some more advanced techniques, but this is seriously like 90% of just making things in SketchUp. It's probably a solid 50% of what you'll be doing in CAD in general. So what I would suggest is try this. So just go find some household objects that has some nice easy geometry. Try to pick stuff without curves really, or just things that you could make with boxes and cylinders. Measure it. Try to make it in SketchUp. And then make some more stuff. I don't know, pencils, flash drives, books, whatever. Just stack stuff on top of each other and get used to like making things and moving things around. You can just jump right into finding robot parts from the high school closet, measure them, make them into components, and then you can share those files with other people. You can make little libraries, share them so that other people don't have to repeat all the work. And then just start using that to start planning out your robots. And feel free to send me questions in the Discord. I'm going to follow this up probably with another video about SketchUp, and then after that get into some stuff with the Onshape. Awesome.